CDLIERATNY. CDLIERATNY. Okay, so here's what we're going to work on today. This right here is a dirty and clean sign that we use on our dishwasher. And the issue with this is that it's kind of tedious to use. For example, if the hook that holds it on is too tight, which is too bent in, it's kind of annoying and tedious to flip around like this. And if it's too loose to open, when you open the door for the dishwasher, the sign just falls right off. So it's not really like a big problem and not really that cool of a task to do, but I thought I'd go ahead and fix it and make it easier to use. The idea I have to make it easier to use is this right here. It looks like gibberish at first glance, but when you put this little window up, you can see that it says clean in that position and then dirty in that position. So this is a little mechanism that I came up with. I thought it'd be pretty neat and at least a little interesting to do. So I'm going to go into SolidWorks and create a more refined version of this so I can 3D print it, so that way I can make a plastic one of these that's more durable than this piece of paper would be. This was relatively simple to make. I had been thinking of the design for this for a few weeks before I went in and modeled it, so I had a pretty good idea of what exactly needed to be done. This is all just extrusions and cuts with a very simple sketch geometry, all done in SolidWorks like I said earlier. This same type of modeling can be done in Fusion 360 or other similar CAD packages, and I'm sure you can make the same thing in a mesh modeling program like Blender if you really wanted to. After getting the mechanical aspect done, I went into Adobe Illustrator to create the text that will fit perfectly in the spaces for the windows. I exported that as a DXF file so I could bring it into SolidWorks and use the letters as sketch geometry to cut them into the form. I then did the finishing touches with chamfers and fillets. After the model was completed, I then printed it out on JankBot. This would be a really good project to use multi-material for the lettering, but my printer is not capable of that, and also I only have this red Shexon PLA, so I will just have to paint it. And here are the finished parts. The window piece came out really well. I really dig the chamfers, and the lettering came out pretty great too. So here's the thing in action. And the locking mechanism works like this. The mechanism was actually a little too loose and it was too easy to slide back and forth, and that was due to the length as well as how thin the arm was. So I printed another piece. This one has a shorter arm and is ever so slightly thicker, so it really wants to hold in place now, but it's still easy enough to slide back and forth. To start the finishing work, I painted the recessed letters silver by brushing on some acrylic paint. While that was drying, I went outside to paint the window frame gunmetal gray to match the dishwasher. I wasn't too terribly worried about how this looks, so there was no sanding or finishing work done beforehand. Back inside, I used a sponge brush to paint the rest of the lettering plate. This is exactly what I did for the nameplate in the Curve 2 video, emulating painted aluminum that has been machined out. So everything was looking really great, and then this happened. I left the panel out in the sun for the paint to dry, and since it was elevated by these little feet down at the bottom, it totally warped and drooped, and out of frustration I twisted the whole thing. But that's okay, because I went back and redesigned the file and printed a new one. And here it is, after it's been painted. What's different about it is that it has these holes instead of the extrusions. The holes are for these little pieces. These act as the limiting and retention device all in one piece. I was just going to glue something on the back of the bumps on the old piece, but this is a much better design. So after gluing them on, the whole piece functions without me having to hold the two plates together. That's pretty cool. But the final detail is this tiny handle to push it back and forth. It was painted black and also clear coated, since it would be handled and touched quite a bit. That too was glued on and it worked super well. The very last thing to do was to attach these guys. They're just little 3D printed pieces that hold on some suction cups that I got from Walmart. So that is the finished product. I think it came out really well. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I know it's not as cool as the stuff I've done before in this channel with the Iron Man helmet and the motorcycle stuff, but it's still pretty neat. Oh, I almost forgot. I'm actually gonna host these files on Thingiverse, so if you wanna make your own, you can do that. And the link for that will be down below in the description of the video. So yeah, that was this week's Saturday project. So, until next time, I'll see you guys later.